Sentimental Value was directed by Joachim and was the winner of the Palme d'Or at this year's Cannes Film Festival. And that's really all I want to know about the production and history behind this film, because this is a story similar to some of the other great films I reviewed, such as The Last Showgirl and The Dead Thing, where I want to view it as a visual diary entry and nothing more. The story is about two sisters named Nora and Agnes, who have their estranged father re enter their life after the passing of their mother. The father, played by Stellan Skarsgård, in a new movie and wants his daughter Nora to play the lead role, as it is supposed to be a story about his mom and the events that led to her suicide. Nora is a stage actress who refuses the role that is offered to her by her dad, and what we see is a strained family attempting to come back together despite all of their bad memories. From the opening frame, when you see a low angle shot slowly panning the edges of a window frame of this house that is basically its own character in the picture, I knew I was about to watch a great movie. The opening sequence follows the younger sister Nora, while a narrator catches us up on what is going on. There is a great focus in the beginning of a crack in the wall of Nora's room, and it is indicative of the failing marriage between her mother and her father. The narrator goes on to tell us about how the house got so quiet after their dad left. That's essentially all the setup we need to feel the struggling dynamic between the two sisters and their father. The father hasn't made a new film in 15 years, and is seemingly doing this project and offering his daughter to star in it as some sort of olive branch towards reconciliation, but Nora is not having any of that. One thing I think that plagues American movies with these kinds of stories about families with dark pasts is that they are all written so surface level with lots of shouting and huge climactic moments, and while that may work in some films, it often makes them feel insincere due to them just becoming melodramatic after a time. Trier knows exactly what kind of film he is creating here and doesn't steer away from it. This is a very quiet picture. There isn't much in the way of overly dramatic shouting matches between characters, and nearly everyone in this film is fully realized as people. We have the one sister who is not only a stage performer, but she is also having an affair with a married man who works on the crew for the production she works for. She has a group of friends she spends time with, whereas her sister is married with a young son and is also a historian. There's a sequence about midway through the picture where the sister goes to learn the history of her grandmother's suicide. It involves a bunch of stuff regarding Nazi propaganda, and the film is so smart to make it heartbreaking while not telling you much at all. Most films that have come out over the course of my life are lucky if we get good pathos on 2 or 3 characters deep. In Sentimental Value, we get full pathos on 7 or 8 characters, and it is so refreshing to be part of a world that feels so lived in. There's a sequence early on where father and younger daughter are meeting at a cafe of some sorts, and the cinematography in this section just blew me away. There are many shots that did that for me in this film, but for some reason this one stuck out the most because they're sitting at a window booth of this cafe and you can see everything going on outside as they are having this conversation. It just feels so alive in this world. Whenever we visit the other sister and her young son, who is vital to the themes of the film, the place looks lived in and properly organized like parents and a young child live there. The backstage areas of the play Nora performs for, all of it is so well realized. None of the set pieces in this picture seem out of place or weird. They all feel organic and completely full of life. This film sort of reminds me of Exhibiting Forgiveness from last year in a lived-in world with a believable family dynamic to it. Elle Fanning plays the quote best actress of her generation, at least according to the dad, and since his daughter refused the lead role of his production, he casts her instead. Even she has an angle in this story that is poignant. At first she loves the idea of playing this role, but as the production of the film continues and he has her dye her hair the same hair color as her daughter's, and there's some awkwardness involving the film being spoken in either English or Norwegian, she begins to realize that maybe she isn't right for the part. She is another great character that has given depth to her. One of my favorite lines of the film is, "Praying is not talking to God, it's talking to your pain." Man, that line really hit me right in the feels. There are so many moments where none of the characters are saying anything, and we are just left with seeing their expressions to tell their stories. So much is unsaid about the history between the father and his two daughters. There's only a little bit of exposition here, a little bit there, to catch you up on things that are important to keep the story flowing. But since so much of it is unsaid, it does the beautiful thing that most films seemingly are incapable of, and that is to let us, the viewers, imagine what their relationships were like with each other before the story began. The only slight criticisms I have to throw at this movie is that the married man Nora is having an affair with is a little underdeveloped. They have two scenes that establish a relationship, but then a quick escalation happens, and then that's all there is to it for the rest of the story. I get that he represents her issues with commitment and anxiety about life, as she seems to be the one far more devastated by the events of her childhood, even more than her sister is. But I think a more organic closure on that one might have helped a little bit more. The only other slight gripe I have is that the husband of the other sister is basically a non entity in the story, except to pop up from time to time. I think this sister could have been more fleshed out as a full character if their relationship had been explored even a little bit. But that is made up for with her son, who is great in the film. The last 25 minutes had me fully in the heads of every character, and I understood what all of them were thinking and feeling, and they didn't have to say a word to me. The last scene of the film involves a chair, and it's just a longing look between two people. And the film does such a brilliant job by making it so quiet. It lets the scene speak for itself. That's the thing I can say about this movie, and what makes it so great is that it allows its characters to speak for themselves in an organic way, or sometimes not speak at all in an organic way. Even though we don't know the full history behind this family, we don't need to, because by the end of the film, when we visit the house one last time, I realized I had just lived the life of like 5 generations of people in this one family, and I felt for all of them with a gambit of emotions, and I just can't say that very often in movies that I watch. I obviously recommend this movie and hope that it gets the attention similar to the attention I'm Still Here got earlier this year when it got nominated for all the awards that it did. I have no doubt that this will get some award nominations in the coming months, and as I said, it already won the grand prize at Cannes this year. However, I don't think it's quite as good as last year's winner of that prize, which was Anora, but that's neither here nor there. This is still one of the best movies of 2025, and I urge everyone to watch it. It isn't melodrama in any way, it's just real life, and I have to applaud films that make me feel like I'm eavesdropping on them. It reminds me why I love film in the first place. I give Sentimental Value 4 stars out of 4. The world building in this picture is next level, and I didn't even mention the music, which is scored so well with the various mood shifts the film and the characters go through. This is a great movie to watch with amazing performances and a simple but effective tale. I can't recommend it enough. And that is my review. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please like and subscribe. Here's links to my other videos. Follow me on social media if you like. And until next time, I am Ghost.